Hello, welcome to my shitty YouTube video where I attempt to explain the iRacing exploit called the GripFlick. So in short, a lot of simulators over the years and a lot of R-Factor mods have an issue where the initial bite of the tires, so the moment you turn in, is too high. And it basically makes the car do some really bizarre things. For example, if you're trying to save the car, let's say during a slide, it'll hook similar to what Gordon Smiley's car did at Indianapolis, but just at very low speed. So it makes the car's handle really fucked up. However, you can actually exploit this on road courses and go ridiculously fast. Now, I haven't really been on iRacing much in 4 or 5 years, and I was not much of a road racer, but with this exploit, I'm literally in the top 20 like all time here at this track, just by abusing this. And it's pretty ridiculous, and it's not how cars behave. So, what does initial bite look like? Look, I'm going to use a really bad example here. I'm not going to show you the wreck, but this is what I'm talking about when I say initial bite. So, Gordon Smiley is turned to the left. He is on a qualifying lap, he's in qualifying trim, and suddenly the car snaps around on him and he countersteers. So, what does too much initial bite look like? Well, in this case, it's aided by downforce, but you apply a change in steering direction. For example, he's turning left to go through the corner. Suddenly he has to turn right. Too much initial bite looks like this. The car snaps and sends him in the complete opposite direction he was intending, and that's not good. So too much initial bite, when we talk from like an issue perspective, is when you turn in from either driving in a straight line or you change directions with the steering wheel, the car hooks too much. So here is a less morbid example of initial bite causing problems in a simulator. This man is an okay driver, Kyle Forres. Sorry, I'm naming and shaming, but not really here. He comes out of the corner, car gets a bit loose on him, and he's like, oh fuck, I need to correct. That's not good. And he's right, he does need to correct. That isn't good. But when he corrects, watch what happens to the car. The moment the front tires change direction, they like suck the car up the racetrack and into the wall. I personally don't think he did anything wrong as a driver here. That's just bad physics modeling on iRacing's part, and like it happens, it's just something they need to go and rectify. However, we can actually exploit this. Here's what you need to do on iRacing road courses to be fast, and this is what the GripFlick looks like in action. So K&N Car, Lime Rock Park, they ran here in 2009 under the NASCAR Camping World East series banner. And this is some weird shit. Just gonna prepare you for a second. So this is a 50.1 second lap. It's close to top 10 all-time around this track. If not top 10 all-time, it's top 10 this season, which a lot of people have turned laps, so I'd say we're doing pretty good. So as we enter turn 1, watch what I do. I enter pretty much straight. Instead of slowly starting to turn the wheel to hit the apex of 1, I drive the car like straight in. And watch what I do here. You see that? That like massive flick, and I'll try and slow it down for you just to kind of stress how abrupt it is. I like crank the wheel, and what this does is it allows me to kind of exploit the initial bite of the tires being too high and gives me this insane turning grip that almost feels like an open wheel car. And I continue to do this throughout the lap. So again, we go into 2 here, and again, this really strong flick. Like very abrupt, it almost spins the car out. But after that initial flick, the front end tire grip reduces itself back to more reasonable values, and you can make the corner without really anything happening. So basically what you do is you're flicking the car in to abuse that initial grip turn, and again, it makes it feel like an open wheel car. And then as you continue to hold the wheel basically at this angle, it'll then kind of neutralize itself as you progress through the corner. Going into the backstretch corner, you'll see me do it here again. Bam, crazy flick, crazy turning grip, hit the apex, which again, this is not a proper driving technique. This is, if you were to do this in a real car, you'd hit the fucking wall, but we'll watch it at full speed now. Just bam, crazy turning grip. That's open wheel levels of grip in a stock car, 3,300 pound stock car. This up here, I don't know the numbers of the turns, so I'm sorry about that. But again, I'm aiming at this little hut here, maybe even to the left of it. So we'll get the moment of turning here. The car's really not on the ground. I'm still kind of in the air from going over the crest, and I'm aimed off the track. I'm going to die if I take this line in real life. I should be a lot slower. I should be starting to turn in already to try and clip the apex and then ride the inside of the corner here. because this is a really tricky corner at this track, probably the hardest corner in my opinion on this track in general. And I'm aimed off the fucking track. But as long as I flick the car in, the car cuts like crazy. And it cuts so much that I can see the seal right to the apex of the final corner. This is not a normal driving technique. This would not work in a stock car. So we're going to take a look at now what this looks like from the outside of the car, because you can really see how abrupt it turns in. I'll slow down here for a second. This is me going into one. This is the same lap we watched from the outside. And as I do the flick, coming up here, probably see on the wheel. There we go. The car like pulls itself off the ground. It's almost like it pops when I turn in. In real time, it's very quick, and it's hard to slow down and kind of see here. But it's like the car just immediately changes direction, like it's turning on a dime almost. And then here's our final example coming down the hill. This is probably the most obvious example, again, as I've said before. But like the nose is literally off the ground. The front end isn't even set. Like we're in the air here, and I'm pointed off track, which you saw in the cockpit view, of course. And the moment I crank the wheel, the car just like, I mean, first of all, it bottoms out, but it just cuts like crazy. And it just instantly changes directions. From basically, I'm going to die, to, oh, nope, we're going to make the corner, it's all good. And that's maybe a quarter of a second after having the front end off the ground. So we're basically doing a wheelie down the fucking hill. And the moment the tires are loaded up, again, it's not a downforce car, we're really not going that quick, it cuts like a downforce car.